Would you like to learn how to make great pan-fried soup dumplings at home?
Well, today on WTF, we're going to show you 2 ingredients that will help improve your Sheng Jian Bao. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. Here on WTF, every week we cover unique ingredients and techniques and show you new recipes for your kitchen. So remember to subscribe and you'll get notified of our episodes when they come out. Today, we will be showing you how to make a home version of a pan-fried soup dumpling, traditionally known as Sheng Jian Bao in China. So we wanted to show you how to make this because I think some people get intimidated making these types of dumplings at home. We wanted to make it easy and of course accessible for anyone to do it, like we always do. And I guess maybe first we should talk about what exactly it is. Maybe some people have had Sheng Jian Bao or its cousin Xiaolong Bao, which is the thin skin soup dumplings. But for people who haven't had it, Scott, what exactly is in them?
So it's just like any other dumpling, but there's one change to it, is that it has soup in it. And that's the difficult thing, is how do you get soup inside of a dumpling? That's traditionally, a dough that would just soak up that water. So it's really difficult when you're looking at it. But once you break it down, the process is pretty simple, and we get some really amazing things. And why not do a Sheng Jian Bao? Did I say it? Did I nail it?
We've been practicing.
That way we get the crispy bottom. It's a little bit easier to roll out the skin because getting them super thin like that and nailing them every time is difficult. It's very difficult, especially for newbies like me in making dumplings. So why not do the Sheng Jian Bao, which have a thicker skin and you can get that crispy bottom on them.
Yeah, and it's absolutely delicious. I would say this is like one of my favorite street foods growing up, so I'm excited that we are able to offer you a version that anybody can make. All right, I think let's just jump right into the demo because I know it's a little involved today.
Yeah, it's not too bad, but there's a lot of little things to it. So really the thing that we want is to talk about the soup. So the soup is how we're going to make that really soupy inside. So when you bite into it, there will be liquid on the inside.
Okay.
And that comes from a really flavorful broth, whatever broth that you like, whatever broth that has the right flavors for your dumpling. That's what you're going to make. Obviously, you can follow our recipe in the description below. But one thing that we add to it is beef gelatin. And beef gelatin we add just so it gets that really gelatinous consistency.
Yep.
So that way we can actually dice it up and we can fold it in with our dumpling meat. Okay. So that when it cooks, that beef gelatin will melt away. You get this really rich broth that kind of flows out as you eat it. So that's a really important part to it. That's where we get the soup for the soup dumpling. Right?
There we go.
Also, we use a high-fat pork meat. So you can do a mixture of pork shoulder and pork belly. You can do straight pork belly if you want it really fatty. We did a mixture of pork belly and pork shoulder. The reason why is I found that it holds together a little bit better, especially when we're using sodium tripolyphosphate. Now, this is an ingredient, and it's a very small amount to the amount of meat, but what this does is it emulsifies very well, and it allows it to retain that moisture naturally. So you get a juicy dumpling. It doesn't feel like all the juice ran out and it broke. You get this really juicy dumpling, and it's so simple that instead of having to grind it or start with ground meat, I can start right here in the food processor, and it's going to emulsify right away. So I'm going to show you that really quickly. So this takes about 15 to 30 seconds. So I can get this going. Perfect. So when you see it start to roll together, almost like in a ball, you know it's done. Perfect. So we have that there. And the reason I don't go to the full 30 seconds right away is I have to add a few things. Okay. So I have some toasted sesame seeds here. I have a little bit of just ground ginger. So just take ginger, peel it, and then mash it up with your knife as best as you can.
I'm a bad Asian. I use the pre-made stuff.
So some Shaoxing wine, and then some soy sauce. And then I have two things that I'm going to add at the end.
Okay.
So I'm going to blend this up just for a little bit to get that going. And then I have some cabbage. Just salted the Napa cabbage. Allow it to wilt, squeeze out any of the extra liquid. So I'm going to add this. Let me blend it up just really quickly to get those in. So about 5 seconds like this, or a few pulses.
Okay.
Right. Now I'm going to add in these two. So green onion and my cabbage. And I'm just going to pulse these until they come together. I don't want to completely pulverize this because I want to have a little bit of texture in there.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe about 5 pulses here and we're going to be pretty much good to go.
And sodium tripolyphosphate is an ingredient we just introduced recently. You know, we used it to make this McRib copycat recipe, which is delicious. And then we're like, what else can we do with this really fun ingredient? I guess one question I had was, you know, because this is such a short amount of time, what happens if you just kept going? Like, would you end up with a meat brick? Like, what, can you overprocess this?
I believe you can overprocess it to the point where the emulsion will just break, and then you'll end up with a really gritty texture, but that happens with any emulsion, right? So we just want to go until it, and you can definitely see it is holding together really well, which means it is properly emulsified. So I'm just going to get this blade out of here.
All right.
And then I'm going to get this meat out, and then I'll show you quickly how we get the soup into the soup dumpling. And now the soup doesn't necessarily mix in too easily. So when you're folding, and we'll show a little video of the folding in between here, is you want to be able to, I don't really need to take this off, but you want to be able to have some of the soup mixed in there as well as possible.
Okay.
Right? And you just kind of fold it together until it makes a one mass. You'll lose one
Soup
here
escape.
and there. Right? And I like to do a little bit more than I really need for it, because as I'm pinching and putting it into my dough, I can, maybe I'll use another soup, right? You know, I can use some just from there. But it's not really, like I said, it's not really going to completely come together.
Okay.
That's totally fine. If you end up with a little bit more soup, that's good. But you don't want to end up with, okay, I bite into this and there's no soup on the inside. So a little bit more is always going to be better.
Yeah, and why are we just kind of pulsing the soup, the gelatin cubes into the meat?
Because if you do that, then you'll end up with really small shards, and you can't really get those pockets that are going to fill the entire batch. And if you blend it up too much, it might break and just be really watery.
Okay.
So, yep. So that's about it. So we're going to come back and we'll cook some, and then we'll eat them.
Sounds good.
Go. All right, so we're back. We have a different setup here. We have our dumplings rolled, which you can see right here. Did my best. I'm still a beginner, but you know, it adds a little bit of charm to it, Janie. Right?
You know, that's the beauty of homemade food. That's kind of why we wanted to make sure this is a home version that anyone can do, and not a, you know, master dough roller version of this.
Yes, I'm sure there will be a little bit of critiques in the comments, but I want it because I want to be better at it. But yeah, so I have a hot pan here.
Okay.
I'm just going to add some oil. I want to add enough to coat the bottom of the pan because I want every single one of the dumplings to have that kind of uniform crispiness on the bottom. So just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. Swirl it around. It should just come a little bit up on the sides, especially when it's all of them are in there. So get them in.
Yeah, and if you do want to see, you know, a longer video of rolling out the dough and the folding process, this will be up later this week on our YouTube Shorts as well.
Yes, so put them in there. You don't have to completely crowd the pan, but just enough. I think that might be good for now. Save these for later. So I'm going to let this get nice and crispy before I add any water. I'm just going to add a few drops of water to it. That'll create a lot of steam. But I want to make sure that the bottom is set nice and crispy before I add any water to it, or else we're going to end up with soggy buns.
Okay. So this is kind of the basic technique that you do like a pan-fried gyoza or a dumpling
exactly.
with. But because the dough is thicker and you have more filling, how do you know when it's done?
So I like to put it on low, and then I also like the thermometer just to make sure. Once again, beginner, making sure I don't have the exact feel and time for it, but that's how I know. The more and more I do it, you would get used to the time and the feel of the dough. But it's so thick, I want to make sure that it's cooked on the inside. Especially with that soup, you want it to be runny and flowing and wonderful. So
yeah. And what's the internal temp that you're looking for? So
it's a ground meat, so around 155, 165 if you want to. But you don't have to overcook it. You just have to make sure that it is. You can see a little bit of soup popping out there. So it happens. It's going to happen with them. But yeah, you just want to make sure that internal temp is up, especially if you're grinding it yourself. So,
okay. Yep. And while this is sizzling away on the pan, I want to talk about this week's giveaway really quickly, which will be a bag of the sodium tripolyphosphate as well as a bag of the beef gelatin powder. And in order to enter to win, leave in the comments below your favorite dumpling, and maybe we'll do a version of your favorite dumpling on a future episode of WTF. So remember, enter to win.
All right, so we're going to let these cook. I'll show you a little bit of how it gets done, and then we can try them after.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, that looks amazing.
Yes. So yeah, we can pull one up. See just how wonderful they look. Right, really beautiful. Bottom. If I tilt it too much, it might come out the top, but you can see the bottom is super crispy. Place them over here. There are going to be a few that pop or leak out the top, but that's fine.
With practice, you can get like that perfect little dough pinch, but that stuff you need to make like hundreds and thousands of dumplings to get that little technique down.
Perfect little pinch at the top.
Yep.
That's one thing I'm working on it. But yeah, the majority of these are good and not leaking. And
I can tell you they smell incredible, like all the aromatics, the ginger, the scallions, and the soy, you can smell all of that.
So we'll leave these two in here. They kind of opened up. That'll be for after the shoot.
All right. Okay. And what's in this dipping sauce
So that dipping sauce is a little spicy, some chili oil, some toasted sesame seeds, and then ginger and soy sauce. So pretty simple.
Cool.
Might want to mix it up, but if you don't want to get burned on screen, then maybe not. But I think we could definitely pick one up, and we can take a little bite and just see how the inside looks.
All right.
If you want to do it, just make sure you get a little lean, Just
all right.
The soup.
Am I going to burn my mouth on this?
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little dip.
Oh, yeah. All chili oil.
All right. I didn't get any soup because I was afraid of burning my mouth.
Give it a tilt. We'll see.
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
That's so much soup, and I feel bad that I wasted it. There's still plenty left in here.
Yep.
This is so good. I mean, if you like dumplings, if you like bao, this is definitely a recipe that you can make at home. Takes a little practice, a little patience, but it's totally worth it. I'm going to finish this later, but all right. So leave your comments below. Let us know what you think. And until next week, from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Garrett.